Welcome, welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And my name is Dr. Simone Resner with Source Empowered Wellness, and I have the honor and privilege of introducing you to the lovely and wonderful mystical therapist, Rachel Fiori. And we have people coming into the room, so I will be admitting people. Hey, Christy, welcome. This is a recorded seminar, so if for any reason you want to remain anonymous, you can always change your name on the Zoom by clicking. If you hold your mouse over your name, you'll see 3 blue dots. You can click that and just change your name. You can also keep your video off, but of course we would love to see your beautiful faces because that's so much more fun to talk to. I would like to introduce Rachel Fiori, and again, this is my honor and privilege. Wow, 23 years of amazing work with so many people, touching hearts and changing lives here as a mystical therapist. She trains individuals and certifies coaches on how to master life and love. She utilizes the Fiori transformational framework to guide people to their human spirit integration point. I was just saying before you guys came on, I love this phrase, the human spirit integration point, which I want to jump into in a moment, which is the access point where self-transformation and healing are activated. This is where people and couples can let go of painful mental, emotional, behavioral, and inner child programs and be guided through self-realization so they can be free from suffering, create sacred relationships, and fulfill their life's potential. Who doesn't want to do all that? Perfect and awesome. Wow, and there's so much that Rachel really offers here through her books and online trainings and through leadership and again through individual coaching. So afterwards we'll give you a way to get in touch with Rachel if you'd like some more information, because we just have a very, very precious little hour here with her. I would love for you to speak more about what is this human spirit integration point?
That's a wonderful question. So I love to touch on this. Let me say this first. I want all of you to think about all the ways in which you've tried to heal yourselves, the ways in which you've tried to grow, whatever you may be struggling with, whether it is in your life, in your career, finding your purpose, whether it's in your love life, in your partnership. What are the ways that we really struggle to heal, and how hard do we work sometimes in trying to heal? And we might make progress and we might have some really nice breakthroughs and we might feel really wonderful some of the time. And then isn't it just a son of a bitch that stuff creeps back up? It's like, why am I struggling with this again? Or I've worked so hard. Why am I still having the same conflicts, right? So many people can relate to that. I can tell you that, of course, I can relate to that personally. But also as a therapist, as a coach with patients and clients over 23 years, I've done a tremendous amount of research to really figure out, why the hell do we not heal? Especially when so many of us in this beautiful, weird, transformational, global stage of transformation right now, people are working really hard on themselves. Why do we still have the same problems in our relationships, the same fights, the same conflicts? Why? And here's the key. It's called the human spirit integration point. What that means is, remember who you truly are. You are a divine soul having a human experience. Okay. Of course, we start to, grow up in this life as a human, thinking only one thing, that we're a person, right? We don't grow up 3 years old, 5 years old, 8 years old, realizing, oh, you're a divine soul in a human. I think it's changing, but we don't grow up that way. So we grow up thinking we're a person, that we're human. And we tip on many levels, we completely deny the divine aspects of ourselves, right? And then a lot of us go through some crisis or spiritual awakening, some dark night of the soul, and we start to gravitate more towards the spiritual self. Okay. Here's the problem with that. When we are human, when we are only identified as person, we tend to go towards more quote unquote traditional therapies in order to heal, like talk therapy, traditional psychotherapy, things like that. When we do that, maybe there's some level of healing, but guess what? You're denying your divine aspect. Uh-oh, but guess what we then do? People who start to go on a spiritual path, you know what they tend to do? To the other extreme, the other end of the pendulum swings to the other end of the spectrum. They get all woo woo, and guess what they start to do? Completely deny the human aspects of them.
Right.
Oh, I'm a spiritual being, I'm a divine, I'm soul, I'm this, I'm, except that you're also human. And what we don't realize we do is we deny the human part of it. You're not human.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mistake. And that's why true, authentic transformational healing often does not occur. No matter how much you've worked on your inner child wounds, no matter how much you've done this or that, or whatever energy healing, or whatever methods, or whatever meditations, why do I still struggle? It's because you tend to then deny the human aspect.
So
So
there's a
humans,
disconnect,
you got
basically.
it. It is a
Yeah.
disconnect.
Mm.
You are denying half of what you are. You're not functioning in wholeness.
And how
And
does
if
that relate to saving your relationship? Because that's what we're diving into today.
Yeah, that's what we're diving into. Beautiful question. When you realize human spirit integration point means I realize I'm both, and I don't realize it only on an intellectual level.
Mm.
That's key. So I start to now function. I heal in a different way, and I start to function where I incorporate and I integrate both the spirit and the human part of me. In a relationship, that means how am I showing up where my shadow self, all of my programs, my mental programs, my emotional programs, my behavioral programs, my inner child wound programs are activated and running and showing up in this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Human spirit, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I love, love, love this quote that you have, which I feel like is so relevant to what you're saying right now, is that relationships aren't here to make you happy, they're here to make you conscious. And if we're
Yes.
not fully integrated on all the levels of how we become conscious or aware of how we're showing up, or what do we expect as we're in a relationship? What is a relationship to us? How do we have this happy, healthy relationship if we're not?
Absolutely. And that is, you want divine truth that just hits some of you. Relationships are not here to make you happy. They're not, because they are not here to make you happy. They are here to make you conscious. And so we often enter into a relationship with my expectations, my standards, my this, what I want in a partner. How about what you want for yourself, in yourself?
Mm.
Okay. So if you really want to start to function and start to heal in your relationship and the conflicts and the struggles and the stuff that's going wrong right now, first remember this: relationship is not here to make you happy. It's here to make you conscious. And
Mm.
so all the frustrating things that your partner might do, or the days when your partner might show up grumpy and unfair and not very nice that day, they're running programs, and their job in showing up that way is to reflect back to you what your programs are, where you need healing, where you need to see what's in your blind spot, bring it forward in order for it to be loved and transformed, in order for it to authentically be healed, and no longer hiding in our blind spot like, well, I don't act that. Oh, what program are you running? So, oh, thank you. You just triggered a horrible, huge wound in me. How do I know that? I'm not in peace.
That never happens to me.
Yeah, never, right? Right? Never.
What do you think are the best tools of awareness or tools that help you learn what your programs are and gain this awareness?
Yeah. So this is my compilation of 23 years worth of work, specializing in mental, emotional, behavioral health as a therapist, also as a spiritual teacher. So I have the programs that people can come join and get the trainings in order to learn what it is. But here's the simplest step. Phase one in this type of training is acutely increasing your level of self awareness.
Mhm.
That starts with, what are my triggers? Learning what mental programs are. What mental programs am I running right now? Because they get activated constantly. What
Mhm.
are my mental programs? What are my emotional programs? Seeing what the emotional programs running are. Mental programs, emotional programs are like best friends. They always trigger each other. So if
Mhm.
you're in a shitty mood, you're thinking shitty thoughts, it's going to trigger shitty emotions. And then it's going to pull from your past reliving where that first feeling was ever created. That's how we relive our past and we don't even realize it. Right. So it's becoming aware of what our programs are, what behavioral programs are then being offered. Behavioral programs always arise out of our mental emotional programs, our inner child wounds.
Mm.
That's where we start.
How, because I feel like there's such a great step, right? First, I hear the awareness piece, but there's an awareness and then there's like a safety measure of how do we make this a safe place to unshame ourselves around what are these childhood wounds or accepting them, or how do we even get to that place where we're open to seeing that? What tools do you have for that, or what is your experience around that with working with people?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. So, very simply, we start at the simplest levels, which is, hey, let's track your triggers.
Mm,
Everybody says triggers nowadays. Everybody thinks, but people still think of triggers as being you're angry. And
mm,
that's not the case. I mean, it can be the case. That can be a type of trigger. I got triggered. I'm angry. Good. That's an emotional program running, though. You
mm,
start to learn to discern the difference of how many programs got activated by this one person, scenario, interaction, conflict, right? So it's starting to look at in a very simple and practical way. Well, what programs am I running? We get curious. So the shaming, the blaming, the judgment, realize those are programs running.
mm,
We no longer take this approach of don't shame. It's, oh, wait a minute. Look at that. There's shame. You
mm,
see the difference there? It's getting curious about what actually got activated within me. Now we're starting to scratch the surface of living in divine truth. Because
mm,
the truth is, well, there is shame here right now. It's not a, oh, don't feel the shame. No, there's shame.
mhm.
See it. When you see it, then you move through the process of loving and transforming it. But you can't heal. You cannot heal anything that you're not willing to first become aware of and own.
Right, right.
So that's always the first step. So the fear of going into my wounds, the way that I have the training set up in my programs
Mm,
are it eliminates the fear over a period of time because I have things set up in a sequential order where you're just getting curious about what programs you're running. That's all.
I feel like too, what is this? The gift of being in relationship is that you love this person so much, and yourself, of course, that you're willing to take that next step of courage. I feel like I think relationships give us that gift of the cost benefit of expanding our love and honoring the love here is worth stepping towards that awareness and that acceptance of the scary stuff or the whatever stuff that's there. Um,
Yeah.
can you speak more about like, because our topic is how to save your relationship.
Yeah.
Um, I guess, can you speak more about like what is a relationship that's healthy, and what would that look like when you're kind of like working in a great way through these triggers? Like,
Mhm.
what does that look like in real time?
Yeah. So we first have to make a choice within ourselves that we're willing to do the work. And we have to absolutely throw in the toilet this idea that passive relationships are healthy. What does that mean? Passive relationships. It means, oh, I met my soulmate, my twin flame, and there's the fairy tale and it's the love ever. Oh, oh my God, stop it. We have to stop it with this brainwashed Hollywood Disney movie bullshit because that is all it is.
Mm,
It's like it's the same thing as saying, "Oh my god, I really want to get in better shape and sculpt my body and have a gorgeous body. I just want to be able to wear that, bikini on the and walk on the beach and be like, I am like bad at. Look at me, I'm so proud of my body." Right? How do you do it? You sit on the couch eating potato chips? You don't sit on the couch. You're not lazy. You don't become sedentary to get that kind of body. If you want a really fit, strong, healthy body, what do? You work. You
mhm,
work for it. It is that simple. And yet we've grown up in a culture where we do not work and learn and educate ourselves in the most critical, impactful thing that exists, and that's relationship.
Mm,
Isn't that psychotic? Our entire culture is psychotic. We do nothing. We passively move through relationships and then we wonder what's wrong.
mm,
Well,
mhm,
because you're being passive. If you passively show up to work and do nothing passively all day, you're going to get fired.
I think we just think maybe there's this guarantee that we're gonna find that person. They're just gonna be the thing that we need.
Yeah, and look at the way that we've been brainwashed to be passive. And if you enter into a relationship, you put effort into it. You do the work and work. The only reason why we think relationships are hard is because we never put the work in to begin with, to educate ourselves, to grow, to learn divine truth, which is relationships are not here to make you happy. They're here to make you conscious. So this person that's across from you that you're starting to get in conflict with and starting to get into arguments with and starting to trigger you, it's like, oh my God, that's such a blessing. It's so wonderful. Look at how badly he's pissing you off. This is awesome. Why is it awesome? It is awesome because it means this is showing me where I need and I can heal. And
Mm.
you can heal all of it, everything 100%. But you have to be willing to put forth the effort.
I love the empowerment that I feel in what you're saying. And I would love for you to, like, is there a nugget that you can kind of walk us through that? I don't know if it's something that you would do with a client or something that feels like we can learn what part of that work is to
Mhm.
start a foundation towards moving in the
Sure.
direction.
I'm gonna throw two things. One thing is I want everybody to pay attention. We're gonna give links. I want to give you a free gift. I'm gonna mention that gift now. And it's a free mini masterclass, how to save your relationship. It's a free mini, not a full class, but it's a free mini class. That alone can start putting you in the right direction. So I strongly recommend take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm going to copy and paste that into the chat box right now for everyone.
Wonderful. So there's one thing to take advantage of. Um, to go to that class, do that, sign up for that and take that course, okay? Because that will help. But let me offer one other little nugget here, and it is the simplest thing in the world that anyone can do starting right now as I even talk. First, let me say this. We don't realize that we have been completely conditioned when we get quote unquote triggered. Do you know what happens automatically? Our hearts close,
Mm,
completely close. They close down. Oh, that hurt my feelings, which means it really triggered a wound. And
mm,
because that is an unhealed wound, what I have learned is, oh no, pain. Oh no, this doesn't feel good. What happens to my heart when I get triggered, when my unhealed stuff, when my programs get triggered, heart closes. Everyone's does it.
I
What
feel
we
that.
have, it does, everyone. We've been conditioned, oh, the world is scary. Everybody can hurt me. So I close my heart.
Mm,
What we don't understand, here's one of the golden rules. Only a closed heart can break.
mm,
So we have to stop living with a closed heart. You know that as a powerful divine being, you can simply command your heart to open. So you drop into your heart space. You feel that energy there. And you just literally tell your heart, open. I'm going to challenge everybody listening right now. Try it. Open. Breathe deeply into that heart space and tell it to open. And feel what is starting to happen to your physical body as you tell your heart, open, open. This is one very simple tool that anybody can practice all day, every day when you realize, oh, I just got pulled out of my center. Oh, I'm a little triggered. Oh, I'm upset about this or that. And
mm,
notice your heart just closes. And guess what that means? You've just cinched off, you've choked off your connection to your higher soul, to life force energy. I mean that very literally. You just close it off. And then we're like, oh, why am I so exhausted? Why is I, oh, I'm so tired today? Because your heart closed and you never reopened it. And what we do is we move through life. I'm going to say this again, passively. where then when somebody says something really wonderful or they validate us or they see us, your heart will open to that. But guess what? If your heart is closed and somebody offers something nasty or mean or unkind or unloving, you're going to feel way more pain than if you say, "Oh, look at that. That was really shitty, wasn't it? Huh, I can open my heart right now." Open, open, open. The pain will automatically process if you have an open heart. The pain will solidify and go in and create a block if your heart is closed. It's that simple. So practice the art of opening your heart by commanding it to do so.
Love that. It's such a good reminder. I'll often touch my heart space just to help me like physically connect.
Yeah.
And as soon as I do that, it's like, oh, I'm breathing again. Oh, I can feel my senses a little bit more. And
Yes.
there's more truth in the present moment accessible to me. Like that starts to
Absolutely.
turn on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it is like it's vulnerable. It's super scary. And I feel I used to definitely do what you're saying and just close and clench and contract. And I realized there was so much pain, like you were saying, around that
Hmm.
space. And
Hmm.
I recently was able to do a session with a Tantra teacher, and he told me he had this singing bowl. And he was like, so the nice thing about pain and sadness is that it's like this bowl. It's so intense that when it starts coming out of you, you think it's never going to end.
Hmm.
That it's just this never, like, it's just, there's all this stuff. But eventually, if you turn the singing bowl out and you pour out what's inside, then it's done. And that was actually a huge place that I never really got to in my mind, is that there is a certain amount of it. And that
Yes.
when it's done, it's done.
Absolutely. We spend our lives and especially our relationships trying to run from, avoid, suppress pain. And that is part of our insanity that
Mm,
there's not supposed to be pain in life. Oh
mm,
no, we need some spiritual maturation. It's time to grow up, little ones, because there's no such thing as moving through life without pain. No such thing.
yeah.
No such thing. It doesn't even exist. You're an enlightened being still goes through challenges in life and still experiences pain. That is part
Mm,
of the human condition. You see how that I'm going to come full circle to what I mentioned earlier. A lot of times we go on a spiritual path and then we think, oh, I'm becoming self realized now. I shouldn't experience pain anymore. No, no, no. You will no longer experience suffering. There is a difference. But
mm,
my friends, you will always have pain come into your lives
mm,
because that's the human part of you. Stop denying your humanness. Stop denying your humanness because you can't heal if you do. So, pain, open your heart to pain. Oh, that's power.
mm.
You see,
Yeah,
that's power.
absolutely. I feel like there's such an infinite amount of self-reliance there that you can build, and
Yeah.
I I hear you too say, so in relationship, what I heard you say earlier is that our childhood traumas and trauma
Mhm.
in general is a huge place where we start to then lose the we start to become more fragile in our relation, in our skills of relating.
Mhm.
um what's the truth about trauma? Like, what's really there? What's that about?
So, the first thing I'm going to let you know a little secret. If you didn't know it, you're going to know it now. In our relationships, why there's so much drama or conflict or pain or whatever might be going on, is because we reenact our childhoods over and over and over in our relationships. We just have no idea how. We have no idea how. The truth about trauma, and this part of the training that I offer, by the way, is I teach you how you are actually reenacting your childhood over and over and over again.
Mm,
So it's easy to understand trauma when we think about the real big, bad, dark, ugly stuff. Like that's easy to think of that as trauma. What a lot of people don't realize or haven't been taught yet is most people's traumas are these little moments
mhm,
that compile and add on over the years as you grow up, these little moments. And why are these little moments? Think about, anybody can imagine a toddler throwing a tantrum. that is a moment when that child is in a lot of pain. As ridiculous as it might be that they're tantruming because they didn't get to eat a cookie before dinner, right? And then like their life is over or something. But they're feeling actual emotional pain because
Mhm.
that's part of the development. Here's the problem. How many of us grew up with enlightened parents?
Mm.
And so in the moment, what we were really terrible at is teaching a child, starting at the age of 2, by the way, teaching a child how to actually process emotions. So we never learned how to actually process our emotions, which means, guess what? It never goes anywhere. It
Mm.
stays within you. So that unhealed moment, that wound that just got created by whatever happened, and maybe, dad or mom said something that was extra critical and it just really hurt that time. That could be all it is. And it doesn't even mean you had to grow up with abusive parents. It just means they're normal humans. They make mistakes and they screwed up. So they were too hard on you or something. That moment goes unhealed. Now you've created a wound because we don't know how to process the pain and move through it with grace because we don't have enlightened parents teaching us that. What happens? That turns into an anchor. That means a root, a core where all of these other programs as you grow up start to develop and branch out of. Those are your mental programs, emotional programs, behavioral programs. It leads back down to that inner child that in that moment did not know how to process pain.
Mhm.
That's it. And we relive this stuff over and over and over. And then you think it's because, your partner like isn't doing the laundry and you're really pissed off because your partner's not like, what do you think I am? Like, you do your laundry. Like it's your turn, god damn it. Like you,
Right. You
you
said to
know,
do it.
just do it. Like what's wrong? I'm so mad. I'm so frustrated with my partner. We think it has to do with the laundry. We
Mhm.
think it has to do with whatever, and it doesn't. I
Mhm.
promise you it doesn't. It never, ever, ever does. If you
Mhm.
have no programs or unhealed woundedness in there, you'll just be like, God, you've been pretty sloppy lately. You want to clean up your shit? It won't bother you. You,
Mm.
you, you will have a preference. This is the difference. You'll have a preference. I prefer things to be clean. I do. But if my partner shows up and is sloppy for a couple days, I don't get triggered or unhappy or aggravated on any level. I'm
Yeah.
just like, you want me to clean up after you now for a day, or like what's going on here? And there's no heart. It's not a frustration. It's not anger. That's the difference. You'll
Mm.
have preferences. You won't have triggers.
Mm.
You see it?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I really resonate. I mean, in Chinese medicine, it's a mind, body, spirit medicine. And so when you're saying if you don't have the emotion fully processed in our medicine, it actually stores in different organs.
Yep.
So, for instance, anger is stored in the liver, gallbladder, sadness
Hmm.
in the lungs, large intestine. You know, all the different emotions have their wheelhouses. And when you have these emotions that haven't healed, it will affect you at the organ level, even. And those organs
100%.
start to shut down. And I completely feel this too. Some of my own personal work right now is to feel in real time, because even
Yes,
just, like
exactly.
identifying the feeling, because I was so dissociated from my body for such a long
Hmm.
time, like using the body to identify, oh, when I feel like my chest is all tight and whatever, like I'm feeling anger. Instead of a week later being like, oh man, I was really pissed off about that. And now
Yeah,
it's a week later and it's totally irrelevant
exactly.
to everything and everyone else. But I then
Yes.
have to figure out what I'm going to do with this.
Exactly, exactly. And that's part of all of this work is
Mhm.
understanding that first of all, we're four bodies. We are not just a physical body. That's not who we are. That's part of understanding the human spirit integration point. We're a
Mm,
spiritual body, we're a mental body, we're an emotional body, and a physical body.
mm,
And the physical body is the last place that symptoms show up. It is the last stop, right? So we wonder why we have disease, but you have disease in your body because you can't even see the programs that you're running. And
right.
when people say things like, but this is just how I am. No, it's not how you are. No, it isn't. It's how you've been conditioned to be. You
Mhm.
are not a selfish, cheater. That's not the truth of who you are.
You're
I
not your
don't care who
behavior.
you are.
Yeah.
No, you are not your behaviors. Behavioral programs are
Mm.
the gnarly programs of all the programs we run. Those are the ones that get us in trouble. Those are the ones that send us to prison. Those are the ones that get us divorced. Like
Right.
the behavior programs are the nasty ones. But with traditional therapy and traditional coaching, we love to call things holistic. Everything's holistic nowadays. They're not, because most of them focus on surface layer problems, which means
Mm.
behavior. We
Mm.
focus on the behavior, change the behavior. How many people out there have been to couples counseling and you have learned things like loving communication, conflict resolution strategies? Blech. Oh my God, stop it. Stop it right now. I mean it. Stop it.
Mm.
None of those things heal anything. They
Not
do
the long
not
term, right? Like
heal.
they're just masking the issue and,
Yes, they are.
creating more disingenuousness, maybe. Or,
These are tools that
mm,
are appropriate to use at specific times. They
mm,
are not appropriate to use when you first start seeing somebody, like, oh, can we say loving communication? Can we learn loving communication? Well, okay, you're going to heal your core wound simply by saying, well, I feel this instead of you. Okay, I will say, I feel, give me a break. That's a load of crap. This is surface layer stuff. It's
mm,
surface layer. What we need to do instead is use the pathway to go down to the root core to get those anchors completely transformed. You
mm,
transform one anchor, one core, one root of all these programs. You'll have 20, 30, 70 programs diminished, transformed completely if you
mm,
heal that one anchor. And then guess what? Guess what arises out of that organically? Loving communication.
mm.
Conflict
But
resolution strategies. You won't have conflicts anymore. You don't need any damn strategy.
love it. Love it because you're getting to the root. Yeah.
Yeah. Pull the root out.
Yeah.
Fix it.
Right. And when you say transform the anchor in,
Mhm.
just to kind of explain, because I think I know what it means, but I don't know if I know. So the anchor is basically, if something is triggering you, you start to figure out what is that childhood trauma or the original wound, maybe, and that is that the anchor. And then how would you transform that? Like,
Yeah.
what does that process look like?
Right. So the anchor, what I define as the anchor is, and here's why I call it an anchor. First, I want everybody to imagine that they're on a boat. Picture yourself on some beautiful boat somewhere, and you're holding an anchor, and it is attached to your ankle. Jump into the ocean. What happens?
You're going
You
down.
sink to the bottom. You're going down. Now try to swim up. You're not swimming up, are you? You're going to drown in there. We drown in our relationships all the time because of the anchors that we
Mhm.
have. That's
Yeah.
the unhealed stuff. Those are our wounds.
Mm.
Now, here's let me say this first because this is truth, but I have yet to have anybody do this, and there's reason for that. You could go straight to an anchor, transform it with the process that I teach, and
Mm.
that's it. It's so simple and it's so fast and it's just amazing.
How
And then
much
you're
time are we
free.
talking?
Y-
Like, like in a snap, and you kind of just.
You you could do it learning the process. You could go in and you really truly could do it in a matter of a few sessions. Technically you could. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you, I've never met a person that's willing to go do that. Even
Mm,
though everybody says, oh, please just heal me. No, 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 no. I'm not going to heal you. You know why? I don't view you as a disempowered being.
mm,
You are very powerful. I'm going to show you 100% how to heal all of this yourself. I'm going to guide
mm.
you. I'm going to support you every step of the way, but you're going to do the healing yourself.
Love it. Yeah.
Stop living in disempowerment. I'm not here to heal you.
I don't even think
Okay.
it's possible to heal.
It's it's just ridiculous that we want, but we're in a lot of pain. Of course we want the healing,
Yeah.
right? And that's okay. But here's the process. You first start at the surface layer programs because those are the ones that we're okay with looking at and seeing is really there. And
Mm,
that's why it's a step-by-step process and it is a process.
mhm,
You're the one that determines how fast and how slow you get to go
mm.
until you can get down to the anchors,
Got it.
right?
Okay.
Because there are things like embarrassment, shame. We're so afraid. We are so afraid to see our shadow self. This is our shadow blueprint. We're so afraid to see our shadow blueprint that we just oftentimes won't go there, or we'll do a lot of spiritual bypassing. Well, if I just meditate, that doesn't heal your programs.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't heal your programs. Getting Reiki does not heal your programs. Why? You're not a disempowered being, so stop living as one. Do the
Mm,
work. You have to do the work, right? And
right.
so you learn to first identify your programs, and then you realize that's really not all that scary. And then you even at some point, most people start to laugh at themselves like, holy shit, this is like all the stuff. I'm running all these crazy programs and I had no idea. It's like, let's have a laugh at ourselves. We're all crazy. Yay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then
And yeah,
as you're ready, you get
let's
to the anchor and then it's transformed.
love it. I really love that you said, like, let's just laugh about it. We take ourselves too seriously.
Mhm.
If we're all in this human boat together.
We are, and
Um,
everybody has their ugly, and it's okay. We just have to learn how to responsibly own our stuff in order to heal our stuff. We have to see our stuff to heal our stuff. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. So
mhm,
we have to learn to feel our stuff. And to feel it means we begin to learn what it means to live in um, heart-centeredness, what truly it means to be heart-centered living. So
mhm,
we switch from, up here, being in our minds constantly all the time. Your mind was never meant to be the CEO of your life. The mind is a terrible CEO. Your mind is batshit crazy. Our minds are crazy. Are you kidding me? You see the mental programs we run? Pay attention to what your mind thinks about this stuff when you're triggered.
how far it
It's
will
like
go down the rabbit hole.
oh my gosh, like your minds are batshit crazy. They just are, but you're not your mind. You
Mhm,
are the consciousness that is meant to observe the mind. The
mhm,
mind is meant to be an employee, not a CEO. So we switch off, we fire the mind from being the CEO in our relationships, especially, and we drop into heart-centered living. And now we live with the connection of our divinity because that happens in the heart center, that happens in the heart chakra. Well,
mhm,
we live from there. That's where power comes in. That's where transformational healing comes in. Our
mhm,
willingness to see our shadow selves, the programs that we run, and
mhm,
our willingness to love it with no judgment. And they're gone.
mhm,
They're
mhm.
gone. But it's a process, and you have to learn step by step how to do it. You're not going to do it overnight. You're not here to live a lifetime where you just fix it all overnight anyway. That's ridiculous. You're not. You're meant to learn and grow during the process to
Right.
become closer to being a self actualized being. That's why it's a process.
I definitely feel that whenever there's judgment, love cannot be in that same space. And
No.
judgment only comes from the mind. Yeah.
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 It only comes from mind.
Yeah. I want to take a few moments, Christy. If you have any questions, I'd like to open up for a little Q&A time so that we're not just speaking what we want to speak about.
Absolutely. Ask your
um,
questions, everyone.
yes. If you want, you can just go ahead and unmute yourself, and whether it's a question or a comment, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Join in on the fun.
Yeah.
Join in on the fun. And keep in mind, start to pay attention and start to get curious with your programs. The curiosity that a child has is the one that we kind of need to reclaim in ourselves if we want true transformational healing,
Mm.
right? We learn to live from truth. Um,
How do you
what,
find truth? Where is it that you access truth?
so,
Especially in the place of relationship, because I feel like I guess what comes up for me is we get so used to being seen by our partner in a certain way that we start to see ourselves that way too. And sometimes that's not always true as well. Or
mhm,
that we
mhm,
live in a space of adjusting for our partner, and then we start to lose track of seeing ourselves, right? Does that feel
absolutely.
like a common thing that happens?
It
I know
can
that it
be.
happens for a few friends that I've talked to.
Yeah, I mean, it can be. And the reason why that happens is because we have all our programs running and our unhealed stuff. So we're afraid to be our own powerful being.
Mm,
It's that simple. So a powerful being living in truth sees through this training and the things that I offer, they start to see, oh my God, I am accepting you unconditionally now. And I'm starting to realize how not how not unconditionally loving I was before, because I have expectations, I have judgments, I think you're wrong and I'm right sometimes, instead
Mhm.
of living, there's no such thing as right or wrong.
Mm.
And we also have to get rid of this thing called my truth, speak your truth. Sorry, a lot of people are going to get triggered. Take a breath because here it comes. You ready? Get ready. I mean, really get ready. Take a breath and drop into your
Take a
heart
break.
space.
Yeah.
'Cause here's what I say. Go fuck your truth.
Mm.
I'm serious with that. We got to quit that crap. And I'm serious because my truth, guess what? 99% of the time, your truth is coming from woundedness, coming from ego, coming from self righteousness, coming from your perspective and your own experience. Knock it off. It doesn't make it true.
Mm.
Truth is truth. There is only one universal truth. In every situation, what is the universal truth? If you look at your partner, you say, well, my truth is that you were, a jerk this morning and you bit my head off and you weren't blah, 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 and you were short with me. That's my truth. Well, aren't you coming from a judgmental, closed-minded, closed heart kind of way?
Mm.
How lovely are you to be around? But you didn't see what my partner did. I don't have to. Instead, we learn to come from truth. So we start with, I just got triggered because my partner was pretty unkind right now. By the way, we don't justify behavioral programs. Behavioral programs suck. They're terrible. They ruin relationships. But let's go deeper. Behavioral programs always arise out of deeper programs running. That means emotional programs and mental programs and woundedness, period, end. And
Mhm.
so if we stop damning people for the behavior, and no, it doesn't mean you suddenly become a doormat. It's ridiculous. You're becoming more powerful
Mm.
because you're seeing the behavior for what it is. You know, there's something deeper. You
Mm.
say, huh, how did that just trigger me? So it's the first step in learning all of this training is you learn to see where you got triggered because that person was triggered. So
Mm.
I now have to take care of me. I need to heal myself because if I'm unhealed, I get triggered. It's that simple. If I am whole, then I can see this person, my partner who I love, I can see them running the programs they're running. And we begin to use the language of, oh, well, it is okay that you're really frustrated right now. It is not okay that you talk to me that way. See how I set
Mhm.
the boundary on the behavior, never the emotion.
Mm.
Never the emotion. So this work and this training is learning to separate our programs out, right? I don't feel heard. You're not supporting me. How many people have said that in a relationship? I do so much for you. You don't appreciate me. You're not supporting me. I do everything to support you. This is a very common fight that couples have.
Mm.
What's really happening is we don't even understand all the different programs that are running. We simply say, what do you mean I'm not supporting you? No, emotional support. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm not good at that. So then we learn what it means to just validate an emotion. Now, your behavior
Safety
might be one.
witness to it, right? Like just to let it be what it needs to be. Sometimes that creates enough safety for it to heal and just be acknowledged.
100% is that we validate emotions. So that example I used earlier, it is okay that you're so frustrated today. I might not know why. I don't know what the hell's going on with this person, but I can validate the emotion and then I can set the boundary with the behavior. They are two very different things. They they need to be treated differently.
That's
I'm
very, very big. Yeah.
Yes. I'm so sorry you're frustrated. It's okay that you're frustrated. It is not okay that you talk to me that way or take your frustration out on me.
Mm.
That's not okay. But it
Mhm.
is so okay that you're frustrated.
Mm.
What can I do to support you right now while you're so frustrated?
Mm. Mhm.
So I'm letting this person know in a loving and powerful way. I'm not putting up with your shit. Don't talk to me that way. And yet, all I have to do is validate the emotion, set the boundary with the behavior, validate the emotion again, and let it go. And let it go.
And going back to the piece where you were saying that there's only one truth, I'm not quite sure if I caught what is the one truth?
So there is only ever divine truth or universal truth or one truth in any given situation. So let's go back to the silly example I just gave.
Yeah.
So what is the truth in this scenario? Well, if I'm in my ego and I'm running my programs, you yelled at me and that you did this and that was blah blah blah. You're in a bad mood. Oh,
Love
grow
that you
up.
put your little kid voice on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the
Because it's
3-year-old self is having the
it,
tantrum again.
exactly. That is exactly it. And instead of that, I can start with, can I see the truth in this? Okay. Well, at this moment, the truth I can see is very frustrated, running a nasty behavior program.
Mm,
I can also see the truth. If you're really frustrated and you're taking it out on me, you're not your emotionally mature adult self.
mhm,
Emotionally mature adults don't behave that way,
mhm,
period, end. And so I know your inner child has been activated. And if I know by doing this work and this training that your inner child has been activated, I know that for some reason you're in a lot of pain right now. And how you hide and cover up your pain is by being angry and frustrated. Does
mm,
that excuse the behavior? Never.
okay.
But guess what? You don't heal at the behavioral level. So screw the behavior. Don't worry about that right now. I'm seeing the truth of what's really going on with a person instead of blaming them, damning them for the behavior, how they showed up. See the difference?
Mhm,
So I don't care how you showed up. I care how I am going to respond versus react, because whether you know it or not, I see the truth in this situation. You
mhm,
have an inner child wound running right now that never justifies your behavior, but it allows me to see the truth and what's really happening. I can now show up as a very powerful self. What does powerful self mean? It means I'm loving, I'm forgiving, I'm no damn doormat. If I
mhm,
have to set a boundary because of the behavior, I do so with ease.
mhm.
That's simple part. The harder part is to not judge somebody for showing up with their wounds. And then how do you move forward with that? That's part of what you learn in all this training that I offer
Do you ever work with people who have difficulty setting boundaries, and what are the tools
all the
for
time,
that? Because I
all the
would imagine
time.
there's, definitely it's hard for some people to even identify, well, no, it's not okay for you to speak to me like that.
Absolutely, all the time. I mean, there are people that run the programs where it's just close to impossible for them to set boundaries, or they try a little bit and then it's never respected and they don't know why.
Where does that come from? If
It
we're
comes
like,
from my value and my worth is in how you see me.
mm,
That's the
mhm,
program we're running,
okay.
is that my value and my worth is in what you think of me. So
Mm,
I really care what other people think. You
mhm,
see it? So those are programs that we run. So that's why we're so afraid to set a boundary, because I don't want you to not like me. I don't want you to be unhappy with me. I'm
mhm,
so insecure within myself. I am so disempowered. All these programs run at the same time, which
mm,
is why I care what you think of me,
sure.
right? If I'm a divinely powerful, loving being, I don't give two shits what you think of me.
Mm,
Because if you, through your egoic goggles, cannot see who I really am, that's not my problem. That's yours.
mm,
And so if I'm powerful in my own love for myself, and that includes being 100% responsible for the programs that I run when they get activated, you see, we have to be responsible with this.
sure.
And if that's how I live my life, then when someone else, I don't need your approval. I don't need you to see me. I don't need you to hear me. This is crap. Grow up. Come on, knock it off. Why
Mhm,
do I need that from you? I'm living as a disempowered child. I'm not living as a divine being. When you offer those things to me, oh my God, it's awesome. Thank you. Oh, I love it.
right.
I could eat that shit up all day. Are you kidding me? Thank you. It's so loving and wonderful and nice. I love it. Yes, yes, yes. More, more,
Mhm,
more.
mhm,
However, there's a difference between being in gratitude for it and enjoying it in the moment and needing it from another person.
mhm,
So we have to literally just learn, what programs am I running when I have trouble setting a boundary? And one by one, we heal those programs. And then suddenly it's like, holy crap, I matter to me. And because I matter to me, I'm going to tell you no. And that's what I
and
tell people, no is a complete sentence. Say no.
absolutely. And we are our longest relationship, so
Yeah. You take you with you wherever you go.
yeah, yeah. Well, I am just wow, our time is almost up. Somehow that went by so
So
fast.
fast.
Thank you for being such a huge, vast, wealth of knowledge and what you do, and this has been so enriching. And how do people work with you? What can you speak more about the programs that you have specifically and what that would look like?
Sure, absolutely. So I provide a combination, I mentioned it earlier, we work on the human spirit integration point. So we work with your divine self, we work with your human self because you are both. We have to treat both. And so when people work with me, it's a minimum, you've got to commit a minimum of 3 months because you cannot heal this stuff overnight. And so I always ask people for a 3 month commitment to start. And after that, we figure out what you need, what you still may need or not. But what they get is a full program. So you get weekly sessions, weekly coaching sessions, you get a workbook with all of this stuff. You get digital teaching videos and a curriculum that you go through every single week. And then you show up, we have our session together, and then you have your workbook and you have your homework for the week. You watch the next video. It's a step by step process to absolute, complete, full transformational healing. But it's been laid out in a way where you can just do it in bite size, manageable pieces. And
Mm.
it's taken me 23 years to create all of the work that I do, the training that I do. And I'm now certifying coaches to do this type of framework, this type of coaching. So that's the other thing that I offer. So that's it.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah,
I just posted the link. I believe it's the mastersofself.mykajabi.com. So if you are interested in working with Rachel, just click that link and you will be open to the portal for your next transformation. It's
absolutely.
beautiful.
And you can email me directly. My assistant or myself will get back to you and schedule a free consultation. And that's Rachel at mastersofselfuniversity.com. And the website for coaching certifications and workshops and training is mastersofselfuniversity.com. So you can always go and check that out as well.
Beautiful. I also posted the free 6-week mini course, which is so generous of you. And I hope that everybody watching this does take a look at that. I was very much aligned with everything that you said in there. And I learned a lot. So I know that if you take that course, you will too. So thank you so, so much.
Wonderful. Of course, you're welcome. My pleasure.
And then, Christy, do you have any other questions? I think actually she posted something. No questions. Okay. But thank you for everything, she says. And I hope that we can stay in touch, Rachel. Let us know if you get the recording of this video, and I hope that you can share it with also all of your people.
Absolutely.
And we have just been so honored to have you as a guest.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate connecting and spending this time with you. I send all the love in the universe to every single one of you. And please take advantage of that free mini master class. It is my gift to you. Use it, it will help you. So thank you. Thank you for your time today.
Beautiful. Take care, lovely soul. So beautiful to connect with you.
You too. Bye, everybody. Bye, Simone.
Bye.